This is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg here in South Africa. My name is Evan Jansen. The show, of course, live. It's broadcast from our studios here in Auckland Park. We're also streaming live on YouTube right now with the whole show available on demand on our YouTube channel. Today, the country's power outlook for the next week is quite dire, with nationwide load shedding once again on the cards. That's in the next 7-day cycle. The Minstrels Carnival in Cape Town has a new confirmed slot in the mother city. We also talk about the high pass rate in the northwest and then allegations of widespread cheating there. We also look at weird weather with Paul Menard a little bit later, cross to Gabon for an AFCON update, and we close today with TMI. Too much information, a new hip-hop group based in the city of gold. But first, let's get today's news with Katrin Milan.
Well, hello and welcome to Newsroom. I'm Katrin Milan, and let's just take a look at the news making headlines this morning. Several senior ANC leaders will be doing house-to-house visits in the Western Cape today on the eve of the party's 103rd birthday celebrations. The party turned 103 yesterday, but the main event will be held tomorrow at the Cape Town Stadium. President Jacob Zuma will deliver the ruling party's annual January 8th statement at the celebrations. ANC Secretary-General Gwede Mantashe, meanwhile, spent the party's 103rd birthday on the West Coast. He visited the town of Vredenburg, where the party has battled for years to build a strong following. Mantashe invited residents to join the ANC festivities.
Freedom is not a gift. You work for it, you earn it, and people from this part of the country must appreciate that they must still achieve what many parts of the country achieved in 1994.
The EU Foreign Policy Chief has expressed shock over the attacks and cited reports that hundreds might have been killed and hundreds left homeless in northern Nigeria. This after a reported widespread attack by Boko Haram. The number of people killed is still unclear, but an official says 11 villages were set on fire. Authorities are sending aid to the region. Boko Haram aims to establish an Islamic religious state in northern Nigeria and bordering Cameroon and Chad. Moving abroad, French security forces are continuing to search for the two gunmen suspected of carrying out the deadly attack that killed 12 people at the offices of satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo in Paris. Overall, shock dominates the world's front pages. Most Arab papers across the Middle East are carrying their country's official condemnation of the attack. The South African National Editors Forum Summit has also spoken out, saying that the attack has created an unnecessary tension between religious freedom and freedom of speech. French police are scouring an area northeast of Paris for two brothers of Algerian descent suspected in the massacre.
The government knows that they have to show a police force on the streets of Paris now to kind of restore any kind of calm.
Indonesian search and rescue teams hunting for the wreck of an AirAsia passenger jet have detected pings in their efforts to find the black box recorders. Indonesian search teams have also loaded lifting balloons onto helicopters ahead of an operation today to raise the tail section of the jet. However, investigators say it appears that the black box is no longer in the tail and divers are confirming its position. The Indonesia AirAsia flight vanished from radar screens 12 days ago. There were no survivors among the 162 people on board. And Ivory Coast midfielder Yaya Toure has become the first player to be named CAF African Player of the Year for the 4th time in a row. Toure received his award in Lagos, Nigeria last night. The Manchester City star contributed to his team's Premier League and League Cup triumph last season, while he also helped his country qualify for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. Toure joined Everton striker Samuel Eto'o as the only man to win the accolade 4 times, although the Cameroonian legend's achievements were not in successive years. Well, all those top stories and more are all available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can then also keep up to date on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Evan, over to you.
Thank you, Katrin. Now, nationwide power outages will be the order of the next week. This is the country reboots after the festive season. Most businesses will resume and schools are reopening late in the week, with renewed calls made for the energy shortage to be declared a national crisis. For a while now, Eskom has been scrambling to keep the lights on after rolling blackouts threatened the economy in early December. leaving households often in the dark. Now, joining us today is spokesperson for Eskom, Andrew Etzinger. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning,
nice to see you again.
Good to see you too.
We spoke about reboot mode. Are we in reboot mode at the beginning of the year? Is there a threat with big business restarting that we're going into a difficult cycle?
The system certainly will be constrained, and to be honest, not much has changed from November, December that you're referring to now. We are back to a situation of demand at the same levels. Our capacity constraints very similar. If you remember, the SADA collapsed and the Majuba power station at about half load, that power station is still struggling, and many other power stations also with technical problems. So reserves are low, and particularly from Monday onwards, the economy will be back to full force. This week has been tight. Next week will be even tighter. And the likelihood is that from time to time, there's going to be a bit of load shedding. So we'd say a moderate chance of load shedding, chance of coming through next week without load shedding, probably 50-50. So we need to be prepared.
Just talk us through the effect that sort of restarting of the economy has on the grid. We talk about big business being a big user of electricity. If we talk a percentage points, how much more will we be using from next week onwards?
To give you an idea, let's talk about the demand for electricity in terms of gigawatts. So we demand over Christmas period was about 25 gigawatts. That shoots up to 30 gigawatts when the economy comes back. And we've seen it basically come back. We're at about 30 gigawatts at the moment. So a very large percentage, we're looking at about more than 20% increase in electricity demand. Of course, we are here to supply the economy. So we don't say, well, this is bad for us. This is great. We are here to supply. And the real question is, how do we make best economic use of our capacity at the moment? Given that it's constrained, how do we do that? And very important, obviously, is firstly to be efficient. And that's why we're asking business and households to use electricity efficiently. But secondly, to provide as much information as possible to business and to homes so that if we do need to load shed, that we do it in a way which has the least economic impact. And bearing in mind as well that load shedding is the lesser evil. It's done proactively to prevent a national blackout, as we've seen in other parts of the world. So it's under control. We're in control. Many other countries around the world, the UK, Belgium, in December, very much the same situation as we are. So we're not alone, but we'll come through it.
Some economists, Andrew, have blamed Eskom for the reason our country isn't exactly reaping the rewards of a sharp drop in the oil prices we've seen in recent months. What is your response at Eskom to that?
Certainly the electricity situation in South Africa, and of course, Eskom is a big part of that, but this is a bigger problem than Eskom. Certainly when we look at the solutions, we can't solve this problem alone. It certainly has an impact on the economy. I think we're all aware of that. In terms of the linkage with the oil price, yes, the oil price drop over the last week or so is certainly great for the economy, and we will see the impact of that. As to how the oil price and electricity trade-off, interesting that we are using a lot of diesel at the moment, so it will make electricity a little bit cheaper to produce. And also in terms of keeping the lights on, given the finite nature of our budget to run diesel, that will stretch the budget a bit further. So it actually will contribute to keep the lights on and hopefully also additional economic activity. But we don't deny the fact that there is a negative impact of the electricity shortage in the country.
Now, Andrew, on a personal note, we've spoken to some of your colleagues at Eskom, and they tell us that the color of your tie says a lot about what the grid kind of looks like. You see, if you're wearing a green tie, it's a go. It means it's not so bad. We'll be okay. And if you're wearing a red tie, we're in deep trouble. I see you wearing the green tie. Does that mean it's okay?
I probably should have worn an orange tie today. I think you've got a better color coded for today. It started out green, but it's heading for a tinge of orange today, unfortunately. But certainly our system operator, a culture within that, to sign off emails and SMSs with green days, really meaning let's hope for the best and let's push for that.
Let's hope for the best and think about that. Now, I want to talk about you guys taking part in the Reuters Trading Africa chat room this week. What are some of the important points raised during that chat that you planned?
It's amazing how global we are and that you can link to people all over the world, and very interesting to see how investors take such a specific interest in South Africa as an emerging economy, and within that, the Eskom, and particularly the Medupi power station. So a lot of focus on Medupi. When is that power station coming online? And a great expectation that once the power station does come online, that many, many things will happen, that the economy will take off, that the psyche of the nation will be built. So much focus on that, and that came through very, very clearly in the chat room. It's not just about a little bit of engineering exercise. The whole country, this seems to be a symbol of the whole country and its prosperity, which, we're saying we can do better. We need Medupi. We need Medupi in line.
What's the date then, if we can conclude on that? What's the date that you're looking at for Medupi?
We'll be linking Medupi to the grid, synchronizing it within the next few weeks. So it will be producing power and contributing to the grid. It will still be in a test phase for a couple of months, after which it will be put into full production. So it has been built. It is there. We've been up. It looks fantastic. Just a few more agonizing weeks for ourselves, agonizing weeks for the country, but then a project that we'll be very proud of, I promise you.
Thank you very much for coming in today and giving us a little bit of good news. Medupi will start to go, small percentages, but will start to go online within the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much, Andrew. That's what the nation needs to hear. Thank you once again for coming in today. That's Andrew Etzinger, who's the spokesperson for Eskom here in South Africa. A really difficult job at times because there's so much emotion involved when you talk about the electricity crisis that we have here in South Africa. Now, we move on. A new date for the annual and traditional Cape Town Carnival has been secured finally after much political and religious bickering, as well as counter-accusations. The parade will now take place on the 17th of January, more than 2 weeks later than the traditional date of the 2nd of January, known as Tweede Nuwe Jaar. The event was cancelled twice, first for religious reasons and then again because of logistical problems. It is the second year in succession that the parade is not held on the 2nd of January. The City of Cape Town and the Western Cape Provincial Government signed an agreement with the newly formed Cape Cultural and Carnival Committee in November last year. The agreement would act as a guide on the way forward and to ensure successful annual events. After talking to both the ANC and the City of Cape Town, today we are getting the side of the Cape Cultural and Carnival Committee. The director of the committee, Patrick Brink, joins us from our Cape Town studios. That's in Sea Point. Very good morning to you, Mr. Brink. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Eben. Thank you for having us.
Mr. Brink, just tell us, finally the issue's now been resolved once and for all, and it'll only be this year then?
Just repeat the question.
I say finally the issue is resolved. We have a new date confirmed. You're happy with this, and that new date will only be for this year.
Yes, it's been confirmed for the 17th of January, and it's only for this year. At that date, yes.
Now, you met as early as November, but still you couldn't get it right twice. What's been, from your side, the main issues? There have been accusations leveled at you. What from your side, are the issues that you've been faced with?
Well, the issues we as an organization have been faced with is the City of Cape Town's total disrespect for us as an organization in the manner in which they treated us. The 3rd of January has been confirmed and secured as early as March last year already, when we did the applications for our 4 events. And our 4 events would essentially have been the 16th of December, which is the Voorsmaakie, the 24th of December, as well as the 31st, and then, of course, the 3rd of January. And those things were then confirmed. The city then called us in and asked us, on the 23rd of December, they called us in and asked us to move the event to the 5th of January, which we agreed to, on condition that, one, the city would assist us with logistics. As it being a Monday, the main issue was the fact that Golden Arrow couldn't supply the amount of buses we needed. The mayor gave a commitment that through our office, as well as provincial government, they would go and speak directly to Golden Arrow to assure that we get the necessary buses, and as well as the permits and things needed to be in place as well. And she agreed that, again, through her office, she made the commitment that she will assist in this regard. That was the meeting on the 23rd. Thereafter, we heard nothing from the mayor up until the Sunday before we cancelled the event, because no one in terms of logistics got back to us from the mayor's office to confirm that, one, the buses has been booked, which was the major factor.
Now, Mr. Brink, there have been accusations leveled at your organization of not meeting deadlines for payments and so forth, and question marks around finances and the money that's been paid to you by the city. What's your response to that?
My response is one that, as a partner, the city should have spoken to us first and not have gone to the media. As for us not paying people, this is a company which we have contracted, which is the fencing company. We've got proof and proof of payments that the fencing company has been paid well in advance for work that he hasn't done. And in actual fact, this fencing company now needs to pay us back because the event didn't take place on the 5th. So we've paid that. And again, the part that is the scary part of all of this is we are meant to be in partnership. And if there's a partnership, partners are meant to talk. And the city should have had come to us first and have requested the information and said, this is what we're hearing. Is this true? Isn't it true? And we could have presented information to show, here is the fact that we've paid this company that's in question. And this company has been paid as much as 240,000 rand, which we've paid in advance. And that was even before work was done. So again, to me, it's when there's a partnership and to our organization, if there's a partnership, it's a road that needs to be walked hand in hand and not one part of the one party deciding to go behind our backs and attack us publicly, because that's exactly what the mayor has done. She's attacked us publicly.
Let's talk about the heritage and the culture of the people of not just Cape Town, the Cape Flats, the wider Western Cape in this scenario. Tweede Nuwe Jaar has always been a sacred date for the people, talking about the slave history that goes back almost 200 years now. Tell us why this event and why this date. Is there not a sacred date? The 2nd of January should be a sacred date on the Cape Town calendar with no other event that should be superseding it. Why do we have other events then take precedence and have more importance, it seems, in the Cape calendar than Tweede Nuwe Jaar?
From an organizational point, the Tweede Nuwe Jaar is a very sacred day to us. However, if you look at the calendar, it would have fallen on a Friday, the 2nd of New Year, and because of in respect to the number of Muslim teams, we didn't have it that day. And likewise, if it was to fall on a Sunday, we would not have the parading on the 2nd. So as an organization, we've made a conscious decision in respect to both Christianity as well as Islam. We will not have the Tweede Nuwe Jaar. If it falls on a Sunday, it falls on a Friday, we will then have it the day thereafter. Hence, it is on the 3rd. It would have been on the 3rd of January this year. But other than that, we wouldn't want it to supersede anything else. That date is set, and that is the only concession as an organization we've made, is that if it falls on a Friday, if it falls on a Sunday, it will be the next day in respect to the two religions.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Patrick Brink. That's the director of Director of the Committee of the Cape Cultural and Carnival Committee. I thank you once again for joining us and clearing up this matter for us today and giving us the point of view of the organisers of the event. We've taken a lot of criticism, mind you, in the last 7 days with regards to organising this cultural festival in Cape Town. What do you think? Should religion supersede this kind of event in a city like Cape Town? What are your views? At SABC Newsroom. Send it to us. We'll try and put it up a little bit later, or we'll even look at it maybe next week if we continue this discussion ahead of the event that will now take place on the 17th. It is of January this month. Let's take a look at some of the comments that's been coming in. There we have one. Tenzing says, even if 100 people were killed by Islam, you won't see nations shutting down mosques. So Islam gets its caliphate. They know you are weak. Well, 3 gunmen does not represent a religion, is my response. Rita, it's a little bit small, this, don't you think? Rita says, after Charlie Hebdo attacks on mosques in France, yes, the response to irrational, bigoted violence is more irrational, bigoted violence. Unfortunately, violence begets violence. Well spotted there, Rita. Thank you. Sabina says, and the far right starts mosques attacks since Charlie Hebdo massacre. Well, that's just expected. The previous tweet spoke about violence begets more violence, unfortunately. That's how we view it in this side of religious paradigm that we are in. Peter Mahoney says, if the weapons feared most by terrorists are cartoons and movies, maybe we should use the defense budget to fund the arts. Hashtag Je suis Charlie, of course, after the horrific attacks that we saw in Paris this week. Let's now take a look at the front pages from around the world. Most international papers, of course, are still focusing on this tragic event that happened in Paris. The Paris shooting is what they're calling it. In the United Kingdom, the Times is leading with killers elude manhunt. And there you'll see armed police in the search for the two suspects who are still on the run in France. Then the Australian says, Islamists at war with the world, only in Australia. Today, as they look at that same story, we stay in Australia. The Daily Telegraph have pictures of the two suspects there with the headline, "You pair of cowards." Unfortunately, our Australian friends, no one has been proved guilty in this scenario. So prejudging them in that sort of space is it's a little bit premature, one would think. But our Australian friends are never short of a word or two, is it? Now, still in Paris, religious organizations in France have urged all imams to use Muslim Friday prayers to speak out against terrorism and violence in that country. The iconic Eiffel Tower dimmed its lights last night as France ended a day of mourning for those killed in the terrorist attacks in Paris the day before. French security forces are continuing to search for the two gunmen suspected of carrying out this deadly attack that had the world sit up and take notice. Let's take a quick look at what is happening across the country here in South Africa today. We start in the mother city in Cape Town. ANC General Secretary Gwede Mantashe, Chairwoman Baleka Mbete, and ANC Deputy Secretary General Jesse Duarte will conduct walkabouts, door-to-door visits in different areas today ahead of the party's 103rd anniversary celebrations there tomorrow. We go to the Northern Cape in Kimberley. 750 of the party's supporters are expected to leave from the Northern Cape to join the ANC celebrations in Cape Town. The train will leave Kimberley Station at midday and will pick up another load of supporters in De Aar. And in the mother city, the first T20 international between South Africa and the West Indies will get underway at 6 p.m. tonight. That should be very interesting. Now, when we come back, we'll talk to our environmental guru, Paul Manari, about the heat waves here in South Africa and Australia. We also took a look at the power winter storms sweeping right throughout the Middle East. Here we have some pictures. I think these pictures are from Turkey, Istanbul in particular. A wintry wonderland in a place that is very, very unusual in the Middle East. That is. Have a look at those pictures. We'll come back and have a look at that again and talk about that a little bit later. Also, we'll look a little bit deeper into Matric 2014 in the Northwest Province. They performed very well, but there are also allegations of cheating. So it should be an interesting discussion. Don't go away. This is Newsroom here on SABC News.
I realized life is short. I want to live my dream.
They can burn my face, but not my voice.
I'm definitely not a cross-dresser. South Africa, I'm just a gay man.
Join Puleng Molebatsi on Bupilong every Saturday at 17:30 CAT.
Welcome back. This is Newsroom here on SABC News. The South African Weather Service has issued a couple of warnings this morning for extremely high fire danger conditions that are expected over the eastern and central parts of the northern and western Cape provinces. Similar extreme weather conditions have been experienced since the beginning of the year in other parts of the world. Now, Tsietse Monari is here in studio to talk to us a little bit more about these extreme weather patterns. Good morning, Paul. Nice to have you with us again.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good morning. Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, it's been a difficult first week, but you know we're getting back. Yeah, we're getting back. Paul, don't make it personal. Now, the new year is off to a hot start. What's causing this bush and veld fires? What do you call it? Offshore wind conditions? Is that it?
Yeah, and berg winds. Yeah, so
berg wind conditions. There we go.
You're actually on the money there.
See, Paul, I can take your job. You must be what? You must watch out. Huh?
No, I'll watch it. But yeah, that's exactly what's been happening. And what's been making it worse is that it's been building up since last year already. Can you imagine it? Since 2014 already. Yeah, beginning of December in some parts of the Northern Cape as well as over the Western Cape province. Temperatures have not been cooling down. It's just been getting hotter and hotter. People were in Cape Town and they were feeling 32 degrees and 34 degrees and they thought, you know what, it's really getting hot. And that's what's been built up. Went to the Karoo as well as into some parts of the Northern Cape province. And then because of the windy conditions, the berg winds that we're talking about, that's what's leading to possibilities of veld fires. And it's been a couple of warnings from the South African Weather Service for the last couple of weeks now. And also similar things have been happening in Australia. And it's just about at the right same time. You know, a lot of people say we have a lot in common with Australia. You know,
I don't think so, Paul.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. From the sublime to the ridiculous, let's go to Australia. This is an absolutely sublime story that I like there about the koala bears, and you know, you have the veld fires that have been going on. Our Australian friends, they've asked the public there to knit gloves for the koala bears.
Yeah, because they've got lots of time on their hands to just sit and knit gloves, But anyway, that would be very helpful because, you know, the paws are actually getting burned because not only is everything burning up, but the temperature is also so high and the ground is actually, temperatures on surface level is also very high and rocks are quite hot and everything, trees that is sort of climbing onto are also getting, you know, pretty heated. So yeah, that's what's been happening, and they're actually getting physical burns from the fires itself.
It looks absolutely terrible.
It's happening with the sheep, the kangaroos. Yeah, it's kind of not so good at the moment.
Oh, it's kind of like a braaivleis thing going on there at the moment in Australia. Paul. Okay, Paul. We are African, Paul. You know.
Of course, but you know, it doesn't take away the fact that, you know, animals' habitat is actually being lost because of these.
But I still don't think that you should be giving wildlife gloves to wear, fireproof gloves, Paul. That's it takes it a little bit far, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, it's the same as saying, you know, all vets must actually stop practicing because animals, you know, are supposed to cure themselves, like as it happens in nature. But you know, we have to look after our animals. I mean, the koalas, there's not a lot of them anymore.
Paul, you know, I believe in balance. And, you know, as soon as we start to interfere with the balance in nature, that's when nature becomes into peril itself.
Okay, but look, now when you talk about balance, think about all the doctors that are increasing human lives now. The lifespan of humans is increasing, meaning there's now lots of people on the planet. What are you saying about that balance?
I'll say that there is not enough doctors in the world to keep us alive, Paul. We are obsessed with killing ourselves. It's the human condition. That's the way it is.
But we are staying alive. The heat waves are trying to, you know, reduce us, but they're really not winning.
They're not winning. Okay. Yeah. We'll agree to disagree on this one, Paul, and we'll move on to the Middle East. Yeah. Where, in the Middle East, mind you, they've experienced a wintry storm, snowstorms. Can you imagine that? It's almost, for me, like a little bit doomsday scenario here. Paul, we've got snowstorms in the Middle East. We've seen some great pictures. These are areas, if you look under the snow, it's normally dry, arid, very, very, very hot conditions. And here we have these pictures from Jonathan Siddle. He's in Turkey. He's actually the better half of our producer, Anin Dormel, who sent us these pictures. He couldn't believe his eyes. He thought he was going to a really hot place.
It is. I'm actually impressed by your geographical knowledge. I mean, yes, the ground and the soil in Turkey is, you know, not something that's used to snow and ice.
Are you patronizing me, Paul?
No, I'm not. I'm just I'm complimenting you. It's 2015, the year of compliments.
The year of compliments.
Yeah. Okay, so you know, that's really, really good. Like your tie. But anyway,
Paul,
back to
really
back to Turkey. Yes. global warming, if you still don't believe in it, let's quickly go back to Australia. I mean, the Prime Minister of Australia does not really believe that much in global warming. And if you look at the things that's happening in his country, in his continent, and what's happening in Turkey as well, I mean, that should be giving you an indication that, hey, look, something is changing. It's not the same anymore.
Paul, I don't predict the future, but I predict that there will be some terrorist attack shortly within this year, 2015, in Australia, simply because of the kinds of pronouncements that the Australian Prime Minister has been making. I don't know if it's politicking, if he's trying to court favour with the population there, but it's just making all the wrong utterances. But let's leave the politics there and let's talk about birthday celebrations in Cape Town. The ANC's 103 the January 8th statement tomorrow by President Jacob Zuma. It's much anticipated. Tell us what the people must be on the outlook for, because the weather's been weird in Cape Town also. Rain on Christmas Day?
Yeah. Cape Town has been quite weird. I think the celebration has been taken to Western Cape also a little bit weird. But I mean, we are taking. I mean, it is taken
politics
over.
Aside, we talk birthday celebrations.
Let's leave. Happy birthday to the Liberation Movement. But the weather, it looks like it's going to be quite hot again. Temperatures going as high as around 33 degrees. So I guess it would be a cool thing to have a party by the beach, the sun is out. Yeah, but for some parts of the country, once again, we're expecting some severe thunderstorms for KwaZulu-Natal. So look at that again, complete opposites. Very hot on the other end. And then thunderstorms are expected on the other side. So you see, climate change, global warming.
It's all part of nature's cleansing ceremony after the excesses of the holidays on all the coastal cities, Paul.
Yes, no, of course. And
that's what I talk about balance when I talk about balance.
Okay, now I'm catching on what you
we shouldn't interfere with nature so much always.
I need to bounce off something with you last time. There has been the Amandla Challenge. Have you done yours?
The Amandla Challenge?
Yes, Amandla Challenge. We have to take a selfie doing the Amandla.
I don't take selfies, Paul. I think in this age of self-obsession, there are too many selfies doing the rounds. And, I'm trying to send a message that we should be obsessed about our fellow man and not so much about ourselves.
Yes, and the environment, of course.
Thank you very much. Paul Tsietse Monare joining us to give us, the weather or not. We've had response on Twitter to our minstrel story. Let's just have a quick look at your tweets, what you're saying about the minstrels there. David Pope says, can't sleep tonight. Thoughts with my French cartooning calling their families and loved ones. Charlie Hebdo, this is not about the minstrels. The great space for legislation in Pakistan, a mosque is also needed. I'm sorry, I apologize. The team is letting us down here. Let's go to a short commercial break. Hopefully when we come back, we'll have all our ducks in a row. This is Newsroom here on SABC News.
Zoom into Africa. This is Eritrea. The president is Mr. Isaias Afewerki. Eritrea got independent from Ethiopia on 24th May in 1993. The population is over 5 million people. One of the major languages spoken is Arabic. Monetary unit is the Nakfa.
Well, hello and welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Kati Milan. Let's just take a look at the top stories this morning. Several senior ANC leaders will be doing house-to-house visits in the Western Cape today on the eve of the party's 103rd birthday celebrations. The party turned 103 yesterday, but the main event will be held tomorrow at the Cape Town Stadium. President Jacob Zuma will deliver the ruling party's annual January 8th statement at the celebrations. The EU foreign policy chief has expressed shock over the attacks and cited reports that hundreds might have been killed and thousands left homeless in northern Nigeria. This after a reported widespread attack by Boko Haram. The number of people killed is still unclear, but an official says 11 villages were set on fire. Authorities are sending aid to the region. Boko Haram aims to establish an Islamic religious state in northern Nigeria and bordering Cameroon and Chad. And French security forces are continuing the search for two gunmen suspected of carrying out the deadly attack that killed 12 people at the offices of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo in Paris. Overall shock dominates the world's front pages. Most Arab papers across the Middle East are carrying their country's official condemnation of the attack. The South African National Editors Forum, SANET, has also spoken out, saying that the attack has created an unnecessary tension between religious freedom and freedom of speech. French police are scouring an area northeast of Paris for the two brothers of Algerian descent suspected of the massacre. Now remember, all those top stories and more are all available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can then also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Evan, back to you.
Thank you very much, Katrine. Now, the Northwest Department of Education is not too happy for achieving second position in matric results for 2 successive years. The department will lodge a challenge calling the percentage difference with Gauteng province an arithmetical fault. Now, Education MEC Wendy Matsimela says her department believes it should share the position of top province with Gauteng. Although the province dropped by more than 2% to 84.6%, it was still good enough to secure second spot in the entire country. In 2013, Northwest achieved its all-time high percentage of 87.2%, putting it in second place behind the Free State. Now, the Northwest is mostly rural, and how they managed to do better than other provinces to consistently maintain the same position is commendable, in spite of their misgivings. Allegations of cheating, however, have also hit the province. Northwest Education Head Dr. Itumeleng Samuel Molale joins us from Mahikeng. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Second position, first position, is that important really? Is the percentage point not an obsession that we need to get rid of and look more at quality in our education instead of quantity in this space?
Well, the view of the province is not really, we are not actually more concerned about positions 1, 2, or 3. What is of major concern to us is the percentage and making that more than pass the examinations.
Talk to us about the quality of students coming out of the Northwest. Are you happy with the quality of students that you are putting into the national grid?
Given the context in which we operate as a province, we are a very rural province, which is very poor, which is constrained by resource. But we entirely depend on our own human capacity as professionals. We are therefore happy on the number of university entrants that we are producing for the universities, given our context as a province.
You talk about this context as a province, you talk about being mostly rural, and we know the difficulties that you face with and the challenges that you have. How have you managed to overcome the challenges in your province when we talk about shortages of facilities, textbooks, shortages of teachers, and then the introduction to CAPS?
What we have done as a province over the last few years, because I happen to be blessed to be part of the Department of Education since 1994, so I've seen many changes. And as early as 2003, we developed a turnaround strategy, and we have actually been revamping that strategy over the years. Now, within our broader turnaround strategy, we have what you call a program, which we call it the Learner Attainment Improvement Program. It serves as the backbone of our intervention. But within our broader turnaround strategy, which focus on teaching and learning, we are also bringing other units into our intervention, like the infrastructure unit, like the learner support material. And our philosophy is based on a comprehensive and systemic approach to education, where we say each and every unit in the department is important. For example, when we take our human resource division, at face value it does not appear to be important, but to us it's important because the critical importance of our HR division is to ensure that teachers are appointed timelessly, teachers are actually attending to their work. So within our broader turnaround strategy, we have LAIP, which we call it the Learn Attainment Strategy. And what is actually happening within the framework of LAIP is to concentrate our focus at school level, where we are focusing on learning and teaching. And the main objective of the LAIP, or the Learner Attainment Strategy, is to establish a culture of excellence. Now, you can't establish a culture of excellency without establishing a certain order, certain routine and rituals. And if I talk about routine and rituals, I'm actually referring where learners will be on time, teachers will be on time, the school governing body will be supportive, the departmental officials will be supportive, homework will be given, an assignment will be given, feedback will be given to parents. We are actually aiming, as I said, it is a long-term strategy, but we are beginning to see the fruits of our intervention because we are actually focusing where it matters most, which is the classroom. We believe that even if you have the resources, but you don't ever have competent teachers in the classroom, and you don't create a supportive environment for teachers, you may not actually produce the result. So our focus is really concentrating on creating an environment. Related to our turnaround strategy, we have what you call the quality of teaching and learning campaign. We call it a movement. It is a kind of a campaign where we mobilize parents, we mobilize the business community, we mobilize the religious communities, we mobilize the retired officials, including teachers. We mobilize almost everybody to assist us to create this sense of agency and importance. What we can actually take as a credit to us is that we are at a point where everybody, including the learners, are beginning to appreciate the value of education. And we believe this turnaround strategy is the one that is actually beginning to give us some positive results because it's focusing on productivity.
Thank you very much for joining us today. That's Dr. Itumeleng Samuel Molale, and congratulations in order for the wonderful results that you've achieved in the Northwest Province during Matric 2014. That is the education head in the Northwest Province. Now, Bafana coach Shakes Mashaba has boldly stated that his team could claim the Africa Cup of Nations title in Equatorial Guinea. He's also said his sights to upset Africa's #1 ranked nation, Algeria, on January 19. Ghana and Senegal are the two other teams in Group C that is considered one of the toughest in this tournament. The team will have 2 warm-up matches against Cameroon in Libreville this Saturday. Now, our very own sports presenter, SABC Sports presenter, Lindalani Mbenze is following the team and joins us from Gabon. A very good morning to you, Lindani.
A very good morning to you and your viewers.
Lindani, just before we go into Bafana, Yaya Toure, the Ivory Coast midfielder, became the first player to be named CAF African Player of the Year for a 4th time in a row. How do you view that?
Well, Evan, I think it's a very good thing for him. Besides the African story that you're telling here and looking at African players, it's good when an international African player is doing what he's doing. I mean, he's doing so well at his club out in England. He's really showcasing what Africa is about, the way the likes of your Eto'os have done in the past, the likes of your Didier Drogba's have done in the past. So I think for Africa, he's really selling a very good story because footballers around the world, they'll keep looking into Africa according to what he and others have done before him out in other countries like in England for him. So, I think congratulations are in order for him. And, he's doing a great job. I mean, I don't think anyone can even question whether or not he should have been named the African Footballer of the Year.
Now, Lindani, let's move on to more pressing matters. You in Gabon with Bafana Bafana. Just talk to us about the arrival there and also how preparations are going for the national team.
Yeah, and I think preparations in terms of the technical team, I think according to them, you know, they on top of their game, they couldn't have wished for a better situation for them. You know, they come into this competition, AFCON, unbeaten under Sheikh Mashaba. The boys want to play for him. His technical team want to work with him. You know, the mood in that camp, it's so solid, and it's so it's just so solid that, you know, everything is going for them. You just see the boys at training that, you know, they're putting so much into everything that they are doing. They want to listen. They want to hear. They want to see if they can't, again, repeat what South Africa once did in lifting the Africa Cup of Nations. They know that there's never a better chance for them than this one again to possibly go and lift the trophy. So the mood amongst those youngsters, you know, it's amazing. This is one thing that when Sheikh Mashaba took over from Bafana Bafana, he said, when I call to say you are part of the Bafana Bafana squad, no matter where you play, no matter how well you play, there should be that excitement about it. There should be that relief in you that he has chosen you again. Not what we have seen sometimes in the past, players just knowing that they've got their spot in Bafana Bafana. So I think he's really getting them out, getting that out of them, and you know, he's really put his message across. He hasn't hidden anything. He says even to media that I've put everything to you. This is what I want. This is what I expect from a player. This is what I expect from my team. This is where I'm going. If anyone has even 1% less than what I think and what I want, then, you know, they're not good enough for this Bafana Bafana. And I think the boys have really gelled straight into, you know, his vision.
Tomorrow, friendly against Cameroon. What's the expectation and the sense that you're getting from the team around this game and the importance thereof?
Even last night, Bafana Bafana had their first training session at the stadium that they'll be playing in tomorrow. In the name of the stadium, it's in French, but basically what it means China's friendship to Gabon. So I think China had a big role in building that stadium. Very beautiful stadium, a replica, if I could just paint a picture to South Africans there, of the Athlone Stadium out in Cape Town, only much bigger, a huge venue for them. I think it's going to be, just talking about the venue, you know, it's going to set the stage so well for them going to such a big competition as AFCON. But just looking at the training session yesterday, you know, the way he played the boys, he tried everyone in all sorts of different positions, different in terms of defense and the midfielders and the striking pair. He even played the two that will not be playing in that first game because of suspensions, which is Matoho and Lumelo Litsolinyane. So, you know, he tried them, but you can see what his plan is for AFCON, given what he was practicing yesterday. So for Cameroon, I think it's a very important fixture, only in terms of fine-tuning his team. I don't think he's looking for particularly the best result. He's not looking to win. And, you know, it's important for us to not read too much into the result because he needs to fine-tune. That's the importance of those last two games before you go into such a big competition, that you fine-tune going in. You can beat Cameroon 5-0, but are you ready for AFCON? Maybe not. You can lose 3-0, but be able to fine-tune and work on the things you need to work on. So I think the importance of that game for him is to fine-tune more than the result.
Lindelani Mbense, that's his real name actually, coming to you live from Gabon. Thank you for that update. He's with the national team and he will keep us updated throughout the African Nations Cup as to what is happening with Sheikh Mashaba and the national team. Finally, too much information. TMI is a hip-hop group based in Johannesburg, consists of 3 talented individuals who produce and write their own music. Now, TMI was started in October of 2012, and they are in studio here today to perform one of their most successful tracks. Now, guys, before I get you to perform for us and close the show, doing what you're doing, just give us a quick update, your inspiration, and then I want you to tell us where can people get hold of your music. Give us a go there.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff inspiring us. First of all, it's you know, daily lives. You know, we wake up, we get inspiration. Our fellow artists, you know, what's happening in the game right now inspires us to do better because we're always trying to be different. Yeah.
And original, I think. But tell us about where people can get your stuff and how you guys going about it.
People can find us on Twitter, Too Much Info, and they can get us on TMI and on Facebook, at TMI SA. Then on Instagram, it's TMI_SA.
Well, here you have TMI_SA. Too much information. Guys, take it away. Take us into the weekend.
Yep.
This is Newsroom.
Weekend, Bob.
Woo.
Yeah, beautiful girls in bad weeds, yellow girls in bad skin, dark girls, light skin, do anything by any means to fit in. Yappa boys in hot knocks, the diva nigga the tank top, bad tats and fat cops, car key jumpsuit, lead the all-star. Now that's my hood. Pagamisi slab, yes I would. Where everybody knows, everybody roll my kitty the back door. Thought I'm on a it's all good. It's all good. My coach mom told me everything I know. The neighbor didn't cool, see that I know. I can't start, all starter, that's for sure. The hash of 24/7, I hold out with us.